and welcome to the Retirement Education Hour. I'm Megan Mozak. We're glad to have you with us here on the program today. We have a great show lined up for you. We want to make sure you're avoiding marketing traps, retirement marketing traps. We're going to tell you what those are, what to be on the lookout for. And we're also going to be telling you about the Retirement Education Foundation, the classes that they hold at major colleges and universities near you. We want to see you at these courses. They are designed to help people just like you and me become more confident about retirement planning. Because if you've looked around, if you've looked into this, if retirement is on your radar, you know there are a lot of moving parts. There's so much to know about retirement planning. Things have changed, and the courses help you gain that confidence so you can enjoy the retirement you've always dreamt of. And you've worked so hard. We want to make sure that all of those savings, everything that you've put into the pre-planning, all of those, all that nest egg work that you've laid down, that it actually results in the retirement that you want and deserve. So be listening for how to get registered for those courses. Do you want to say hello to, of course, the financial instructors that I'm here with each and every week in the studio, Kirk, Cassidy, Michael Masserant. They're back with me for another great edition of the program, and we're going to talk about these retirement marketing traps that do tend to trip people up. And this is I would say, a very heavily marketed industry in the U.S. We have a lot of people trying to vie for your attention, right? And Kirk and Michael, I want to find out from you, is this something we should just try to turn a blind eye toward, just ignore it completely? Or how can we be a little more savvy when it comes to these marketing ploys? Because as I mentioned, we're talking about all of this work, this nest egg work that people have done. You don't want to turn it over to the wrong person because you bought into a marketing trap.
So look, you can't ignore it. You can't turn a blind eye. You can't escape it. You are so targeted. You're clicking things on the internet. You're clicking things on your phone. They're building algorithms around, especially baby boomers or anyone within 10 years of retirement. Through retirement, the greatest transfer of wealth is occurring right now. The greatest amount of wealth is held by baby boomers, and you are the targeted in I would say, the most heavily marketed industry in America today, without a question. And I would argue the two biggest values that the charity provides in our education, and the charity does a lot of different things. We have financial literacy for young adults, where we go into lower income communities, helping high school students prepare for their financial lives, making good choices. We have our older adult financial literacy, which is more advanced financial literacy. And then the two things in that course that I believe is the core principles. One, of course, is the almost master's level content. We're going to teach you tax codes. I guarantee, will learn things you have never seen or heard about before. And if you had heard about it, you will understand the mechanics of it so that you can identify if someone's actually executing that type of comprehensive planning. The second, Michael, we're going to talk about today is what a marketing scam the financial service industry is. And we provide the tools to give them a filter to not be taken advantage of. Literally, it is such a big part of that class.
This is one of the things that I think people, not I think, honestly, that we know people struggle with is a lot of people don't even have the right tools to ask the right questions to identify who's really doing this and who's not, or who's just saying they're doing it and they're faking a retirement plan with some software system. A lot of people, we hear this all the time in the first half hour of the class before we get into it. People say, no, I've got a plan from a team who's helping me. And then by the time they're walking out of the class, they're realizing, holy smokes, I fell for the sizzle of the industry. And the class helped me realize that all the things I've heard from my team about, well, take your 4%, or you don't need a plan, you're good, or we'll build you a plan when you get there. All those nonsense things they've heard from their team. It's the sales sizzle that they've fallen for. And after taking the class, they're better prepared for asking the right questions from their team to make sure that they have a real plan versus a fake plan.
Stick around for today's show, because I think we're going to help you avoid some of these marketing sneaky traps that the financial service industry always is promoting. So if you'd like to register for one of our 8-hour master level courses taught at major universities, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
One of the comparisons that we make, honestly, is trying to think about your financial health like your physical health. People tend to gravitate towards someone that they quote unquote like for their financial retirement planning. liking someone should not be a criteria on if they're the right team for you or not. If someone needs to have a surgery, you're probably, hopefully, not picking a surgeon that you like. You're picking a surgeon that is qualified to do that surgery as best as possible. You want the best surgeon in your area or the best surgeon you have access to. So whether you like that person or not should not come into this. But that's what this marketing is so focused on. Is they're trying to get in touch with you. They're trying to find some common ground with you, where you went to college, what sports team you like, and establish a connection so that you stick with them. That should not matter. It should not matter if you went to the same college, or if you cheer for the same sports team or not.
So they do the relationship piece, and now they're talking the appropriate terminology to suggest that they do comprehensive planning, but y'all don't know the right math. You don't know how to filter out the BS. You don't know how to identify true comprehensive planning. And I know people listening right now are probably getting angry with me saying, I do know, but I'm telling you, who I'm talking to is that $1 to $10 million often man, right? The women tend to have the sense that, like, I have a good foundation of knowledge, but I could be vulnerable to a sales pitch. Men are overconfident, tend to be I'm generalizing now, but they tend to be overconfident, especially that $1 to $10 million professional. The CPA, especially CPAs, attorneys, engineers, they think they can do research and figure this out. When they come to the class, what the class helps them to identify is, if someone wrote a book, doesn't mean they wrote the book. If someone's being writing articles on Forbes or Kiplinger's, they paid to play. They paid to be on there. If someone's on a top 200 list of advisors in the country or in the state, they often are paying to be on that list. They don't know what they're looking for. And that's why this education is critical. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain to invest 8 hours into what is like a master's level course taught at major universities, also streamed live from wherever you're at in the country while we're teaching in the major universities, so you can participate. All our charity asks is for a $29 donation. It goes to charity to attend. It's a 200-page textbook. I urge you, even if you have a team or before you hire a team, you got to understand what real comprehensive retirement plan looks like and the right questions to be asking. That's what this charity does. Go to refedu.org to register, refedu.org.
And we'll be back with Kirk and Michael right after this. And we're back. This is the Retirement Education Hour. Glad you're with us today. Megan Mozak alongside financial instructors Kirk Cassidy, Michael Masserant, talking today about retirement marketing traps. Yes, they are out there. If you're newly retired or maybe you're within 10 years of retirement, you are probably being inundated with retirement marketing. And so we want to make sure that you're really starting to just get through the noise of all of that and understand what marketing should be in this industry and some of the warning signs for the types of marketing you should be ignoring. We also want to be telling you about these courses that are held at major colleges and universities near you. And these are all brought to you by the Retirement Education Foundation, designed to help you become more educated. This is a big, big topic. There are so many moving parts, and we want to see you at these courses. And it's your choice, either a one-day, 8-hour course, or you can split it up between 2 days. They are held at major colleges and universities near you, or you can stream them live online. The locations include the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University, the University of Missouri, and Columbia College. You can get more information and you can register right now at retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org, or call 800-240-8981. That's 800-240-8981. As we get back to this important topic today, retirement marketing traps, Kirk and Michael, you said something earlier. You said, in the U.S., this industry, the retirement planning industry, it's one of the most heavily marketed industries. Why is that?
Well, obviously, there's a great concentration of wealth amongst this cohort of the US American population, right? The baby boomers, I mean, they crushed it. And we've had a greatest bull run in market history at the tail end of their careers where compound interest was full horsepower, all everything came together, and there's just a tremendous amount of wealth. And this is where the financial service industry can make a lot of money. I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of this is centered around insurance. We have found a lot of insurance salespeople who a number of years ago realized if they got their securities license, if they could pass an exam, it immediately created credibility for them. And the insurance industry are tremendous marketers. They have what's called field marketing organizations, independent marketing organizations that are solely designed to help advisors grow their practice through sales, marketing, how to grow your practice. I know Michael next segment has a story about a conference we went to. I'll let him save it for maybe next segment. It's unbelievable what they're teaching these people. In fact, and we'll talk about boomer candy as well in that segment too. I think it's a great topic of boomer candy. The thing is that to be able to market and build credibility, they've taught advisors how to do this through, if you notice, everyone's written a book. Everyone has written a book. You know how many people actually wrote the book? Not very many. These books are ghost written. For $10,000, they'll write your book for you. For $20,000, a ghostwriter will write your book and make you a best-selling author because they take the other 10,000 over the next over 2 days, purchase everything that as many copies of the book as they can so they can get them on the best-selling author list. Forbes, Kiplinger, all these articles that people are being quoted on, these are pay to play. If I want to write now for Kiplinger's, it wasn't always this way because I used to write for Kiplinger's before it was pay to play. Now to write for Kiplinger's, you got to pay them a check. I don't remember what it is. It's like $4,000 gets them 4 articles a year. I don't know what the math is, but it's all pay to play. Now to be on TV, CNBC, Bloomberg, not always, but often these are paid to play. Marketing companies, PR companies getting you on there to build your credibility. So it starts by building your credibility. Then it moves to, Michael, dinner seminars. Now they have movies. They have the movies where the advisor can pay $50,000 and they can be a co-producer of the movie to build credibility. And then they invite people to the movie. It's all about insurance. It's all annuity scams.
And the marketing itself, what's challenging is that there are, to be clear, there are a lot of very smart people doing this marketing, and there are two things. The one, they're very smart about how to market to people, and also there are a lot of subject matter experts who genuinely are smart people.
Yes.
And one of the things that I think, honestly, candidly, I struggled with this in the past, where there was someone who legitimately was a subject matter expert on something like retirement planning. And the book they're writing, maybe they really did write it themselves. Just because they can write that book, just because they have this knowledge, does not mean they're actually going to implement the advanced retirement planning someone needs.
Are you talking about the CFA, CFP that recently attended the class who wrote 10 books? He was an expert, but he was broke. He couldn't take over his own finances.
And so not only was he struggling with his own personal finances after writing literally 10 books on investing.
He was really a smart guy.
Brilliant person. Said, I've passed all these tests, and yet I'm still struggling with my own personal finances. And yet everything that was talked about in the class, he said, sure, I knew what a QCD was. I knew what DAFs were. I knew what IRMA brackets are. I know those things from the exams I took. But I don't know how to implement this, how to actually build this in reality.
I think that's the point, Michael. So understand, we're not saying that all people in our industry are bad. That isn't what we're saying. What we're telling you is do not assume because of a credential, a CFP, or written books, or writing articles, or being named on a list. Being on those lists, you pay to play to be on those lists. USA Today put us on our private practice on their list, and they wanted us, I don't know, was it 10 or 20 grand? We wouldn't pay. So they didn't put us on the list. We couldn't promote the list. It was crazy. Whatever. There are good people in this industry. There are. The problem is the consumer has no clue. And a lot of those $1 to $10 million very smart people think they have a clue. And that is the purpose of the charity. That is what we are doing. Not only are we teaching you the advanced strategies, how to manage sequence of returns risk, when to take income from which account when the market's up or market's down, how to minimize taxes over your lifetime, considering net present value, the actual advanced planning strategies that people are saying they're doing, but you don't know how to quantify whether they are doing or not. You guys are going on feelings, opinions, your AI searches. That's nonsense. That's why the class is 8 hours. That's why it's taught in major universities. We do it over one full Saturday or 2 evenings. We stream the class. We have people all over the country participating in our classes. All you have to do to attend is make a $29 donation to charity. If you'd like to register, go to refedu.org. That's refedu.org.
And we'll be back. Retirement Education Hour continues right after this. And we're back. It's the Retirement Education Hour. Glad you're here with us today. I'm joined, of course, by financial instructors Kirk Cassidy and Michael Masserant. We're talking about some of these marketing traps that are out there. If you are looking into retirement, if that's something that you're thinking about, it's on your radar, I guarantee you someone is marketing to you about retirement. And it's very important to kind of cut through all the noise on this. This show obviously is all about education. This is brought to you by a nonprofit, the Retirement Education Foundation. But there are a lot of advertisers out there just trying to sell you. And so Kirk and Michael, they're doing a great job today helping you outline and understand what to look for so you don't fall victim to one of these marketing traps. I want to flip the script here a little bit, and I want to talk to the two of them about what marketing should be doing as you're currently being marketed to, what to look for. But I do want to pause quickly to make sure you have the website before we go any further. Retirementplanningedu.org, retirementplanningedu.org. That's the website to go to. We've been telling you about the foundation's courses on retirement planning, and these really go deep. They're like a master's level course on retirement planning, which is so necessary right now in this day and age when you think about everything that you have to account for. Income, investments, you have to deal with inflation and healthcare and taxes and all of these moving parts, and you want to make sure you have it buttoned up. This course is the best next step. We want to see you there. You can get registered again at retirementplanningedu.org, or you can call 800-240-8981. All right, Kirk and Michael, so we're flipping the script here. We've been talking about these traps. I want to understand, what should marketing actually do when it's being done responsibly as we talk about the retirement planning industry?
Well, it may be self-serving, but I would tell you, obviously, we market a lot to attend our the charities' educational courses. I think a proper marketing kit introduce you to concepts, ideas, and then people. The challenge is marketing is available for everyone. And in fact, it's a major part of any financial firm, especially if they sell insurance. It's a major investment, and it's a major part of their scaling their business. There's something called boomer candy, and boomer candy is any topic specific to people who are aging that they find to be very important, where they feel like they can build trust through marketing. So, for example, Social Security, boomer candy, taxes, boomer candy. Everybody on radio, TV, newspaper, everyone that is targeting you right now is talking about Social Security, taxes. They're also talking a little bit about IRMA brackets. These are all intended to build trust, and then that's to create the credibility and trust that they know what they're talking about. Then step two is getting you to like them. And Michael will tell you, liking them is not the priority. I know that's hard for you, but you want the best. You want someone that speaks a love language based on outcomes, not a relationship or them asking you what you did on your vacation or liking the same teams. You want love language of outcomes, not that will call you back in 30 seconds every time you're panicked about the market. Outcomes, numbers. And to learn what outcomes and numbers are possible, you need the class, Michael.
And this, I go through this myself because there are content creators out there that I follow pretty religiously that speak about, the stock market, the economy, and I really respect their opinions on those topics. And I've been listening to them for years and years and years. And I feel like I know them personally. I don't, of course, but I feel like I do. And one of the phrases that they're fond of using is that people work with the people they like. And I like these people that I listen to on all the time on podcasts. But I can tell from all the content I've consumed from them, they're very smart people. They're very likable. They've mentioned stories about their family and their dogs and their vacations, and I know them pretty well just from those stories that they've shared through their podcast. But I I can tell they don't do advanced retirement planning.
Not
They're very
close.
smart people. They're very likable, but they don't do advanced planning. So just because I like that person does not qualify them or does not mean I should be using them or working with them for something as important as retirement planning. If it was something that wasn't so high stakes, if this was someone you were hiring to plan a vacation for you or something you had to do over at, sure, use someone who maybe isn't the most qualified person, but they're a good friend or they're a friend of a friend. You get one shot at this. This is one of the highest stakes decisions of your life, and choosing someone just because you like them, as opposed to are they the right person? Do they really do advanced planning? It's crazy to me that people are still doing this.
Michael, it's because most people in our industry are doing the same things. They're not really doing advanced planning. So it's commoditized. It's just a commodity. So what they're selling is their relationship, their service, fast is trust, all this nonsense that is based on a relationship instead of outcomes. And the problem is you all don't know what's possible because everyone's pitching and doing the same things. And so at that point, it's just a commodity. So it's whose dinner seminar did you like better? Right? I mean, whose radio show, the next 10 callers gets a free roadmap to retirement? That is nonsense. That is insurance sales BS. To be able to effectively make a good decision on who is going to produce outcomes, you need to understand the math and what the potential outcomes can be. Then you can filter through the relationship sales, sometimes scams, sometimes it's legitimate people are just, they're good people and they're just not advanced people or willing to put the effort it requires to do real comprehensive advanced retirement planning.
That's where, and again, I know we keep talking about this about the class, but that's where I think the class really shines is giving people the tools to evaluate the content and ask the right questions. Because people say, "Oh, well, I've heard RMDs mentioned before." Okay, great. It's one thing to have them mentioned before. It's a whole other world for there to be an actual strategy behind minimizing them, Roth conversions, QCDs, getting ahead of these things years before you turn 73 or 75, not when you're turning them and it's too late.
Stick around for the last segment. And what we'll do in the last segment is we'll talk about what you should be looking for in real planning, setting aside all the marketing sizzle and all the things that people are doing, just trying to see, that's what they're doing. Like everyone's just vying to get in front of you. And once they get in front of you, they hope that you like them enough and that they're effective enough at selling you the same thing that the person down the street's going to sell you. They're all talking tax planning, all talking sequence of returns with RMD management, income planning. They're all doing social security planning. You got to understand this in much greater depth. Attend this advanced, almost master's level course. It's 8 hours. Go to refedu.org. That's refedu.org.
And we'll return with Kirk and Michael right after this. Glad you're with us. This is the Retirement Education Hour. Megan Mozak in the studio with financial instructors Kirk Cassidy and Michael Masserant. They're both with the Retirement Education Foundation. Of course, the foundation makes this very show possible with the goal of, well, you guessed it, educating you on all things retirement planning. And they go a step further. We've been telling you about these courses, which are really like master's level courses on retirement planning. And they're right in your own backyard at major colleges and universities that you probably pass by all the time. And those include the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University also on that list, the University of Missouri, and Columbia College. So anywhere you're listening today, there is a location near you. take advantage of that. Go to the website, get registered. The courses do fill up really, really quickly, and we want to see you there. It's your chance to meet instructors like Kirk, like Michael. Get your questions answered and start to get that major download of everything that you need to be understanding and processing for this next phase of life called retirement. It does not happen by hope or a wish or a prayer. You need planning, and that starts with education, and the foundation makes that possible. So go to the website, retirementplanningedu.org, and get registered. Again, retirementplanningedu.org. You can also call to register 800-240-8981. That's 800-240-8981. Did you know that there are a lot of retirement marketing traps out there? Now, you've probably seen a lot of those, especially if you're newly retired or within about 10 years of retirement. They are marketing at you something fierce. And the last thing you want to do is fall into one of these traps, turn over your life savings to the wrong firm, the wrong organization, the wrong individual. There's too much on the line. So Kirk and Michael, they're walking us through this. And part of this is really on us, isn't it? To do our due diligence in light of all of the flurry of marketing that's coming at us. What should we be doing? How should we position ourselves?
It is. It's totally up to you. And it's not about who you like. It's not, it can't be about the relationship. It can't be, oh, this has been my advisor for 15, 20 years and they've done a great job. I'm sure they have, and I'm sure you trust them a lot. But this is a specialty. You need to find somebody that is dedicating their lives to do comprehensive retirement planning. This isn't just investing is the easiest part of retirement planning. Literally, it's where you're taking money from when the market's up, where you're taking money from when the market's down. There's no market timing component of investments. The market timing is where you take your income from. It's anticipating where the traps are in your 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the risk mitigation. You guys, you got to ask the right questions. And the problem is that you don't know the right questions to ask. You can't AI this. What you're going to get when you look this up and when you go to articles and you Google and you AI what questions you should be asking is you're going to be getting what the industry is, the marketing industry of the financial service industry is putting out there for you to ask those questions. They're too general in nature. So you got to ask, if the market is down, where are you taking your income from? But this is why you need to go to the class, because you don't know where you should take your income from when the market's down. When I'm 75 years old and I have to start taking RMDs, what's my marginal tax rate going to be projected to be? And what's my effective tax rates going to be at 75? And what are they now at retirement? You don't know what lifetime tax bill planning is. This is another area they manipulate. Everyone's got a free tax report to show you Roth conversion strategies. You don't even know if they're playing games with the math, because I can make anyone's lifetime tax bill look really, really small without considering net present value. I would just have you Roth converted all right now, and you'd pay no taxes for the rest of your life after the first 3 years. That would be a massive mistake. They're not even, so before they ask these questions, I was going to go through all these questions, Michael. Before they ask the questions, they need to know what the answers are to the questions. They don't know that.
Well, and one of the ones that bothers me the most, candidly, is around the fiduciary discussion. Because one of the first questions, when you Google questions to ask a financial advisor, one of the first questions is always, are they a fiduciary? And have them explain what a fiduciary is. I promise you, anyone who's a fiduciary has that definition memorized. But that does not mean they're acting in that capacity. There's a pretty.
They may not even know they're not acting in that capacity, Michael, to be fair.
That's fair. And there's a pretty huge firm where their slogan is, we do better when you do better, because they're fiduciaries. And, oh, yeah, we do better when you do better. Okay, then why am I getting a 60-40 portfolio with a 4% withdrawal rate that is almost guaranteed to result in my portfolio growing? Therefore, your fee grows because that's how your fee structure works. And if you're a fiduciary and I want to spend more than 4%, why you tell me that I can't when I can, but it takes more work to accomplish that?
Michael, this goes back to something I think I say every show. Just remember, all of you listening, the less you spend, the more we make. The more the financial advisors and the financial firms make. The less you spend, they have no incentive. There's zero incentive for them to teach you how to spend more. So that firm, that famous firm, we do better when you do better, is literally telling you we are conflicted. We are conflicted because the more your portfolio grows, the more we make. And that sounds good. When you listen to me, oh yeah, I want my portfolio to grow. Do you? Or do you want to spend more money? Because I can make your portfolio grow to 15, $20 million too if I use 8% growth rates, which will never happen when you're taking income in retirement because of sequence of returns risk, and you're only spending 3 or 4% a year. You're not even asking the right question. You're asking, notice, it's not what you want. I mean, what you need. It's what do you want in retirement? Do you see your default? They've already taught you to, you go into advisors, I need. No, it's not what you need. It's what do you want? It's their job to see if they can give you what you want. And if they can't give you what you want, then they tell you how to maximize to get as close to what you want as you can have. To truly give you more than 3 or 4% in retirement, for withdrawals, they have to work significantly harder. They have to do much more comprehensive planning. They have to be much more tax efficient. They have to do much more risk mitigation, and it has to be customized. Customized is more expensive. Customized means it's less scalable. They make less money while you're spending more money. You have to come to the 8-hour class so we can teach you what the math looks like. So then you can ask the right questions, and then you can expose to find out, are they really providing this type of planning or are they not? That's why the class is 8 hours. This is why it's master's level content taught at major universities around Michigan, Missouri, and soon PA. And we teach it live. We stream it live. So wherever you're at in the country, you can participate. All we ask is that you make a $29 donation to charity. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
And we'll be back with Kirk and Michael right after this. Back with Kirk and Michael. This is the Retirement Education Hour. We're glad you're here. We've been telling you about the courses that are sponsored by the Retirement Education Foundation. And these are courses we want to see you at. They're so valuable. If you're thinking about retirement, maybe you're newly retired, you owe it to yourself to be in attendance. And it's easy to get registered. Simply go to the website, retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. The courses are taught at the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University, the University of Missouri, and Columbia College. Again, get registered now at retirementplanningedu.org. We're talking about retirement marketing traps today here on the show with Kirk and Michael. I'm learning a lot. Some of this marketing is valuable. Some of it, it's just a ploy. It is a trap. I do want to find out, how do you evaluate? How do you know how someone actually performs as an advisor when they're trying to help you with your retirement plan, when all you're seeing is this barrage of marketing coming at you?
It's funny, Megan. I've been in the industry forever, right? A long time. Michael's been in the industry for quite a while now too. And early in Michael's career, one of the things we invested a lot of money in our private practice, in our team's education on how to build comprehensive retirement planning. We're a high net worth family office, meaning we own our own CPA. We have the estate planning, the whole thing for high net worth families. And I took Michael to a conference. I was almost embarrassed. I'm going to have Michael tell you a story to the first conference I ever took him. And I was embarrassed when we went, because we went there to learn more advanced planning and strategies around taxes, around income planning, sequence of return management. How do we risk mitigation as people are aging? And Michael, what did you get?
Well, before that conference, I was really excited for the conference because I was at that point, and I still am, a sponge trying to learn constantly to become a better financial planner. And so I went to the conference very eager to learn all these different topics that Kirk had just mentioned. And so we get settled in. There's, I don't know, a couple hundred people in the room, and the keynote speaker starts their presentation, and they start with this really dramatic statement. They said, all of you think of yourselves as, financial planners or financial services people. You're all wrong. You should think of yourselves as marketing firms that just so happen to do financial planning. And in my head, I was like laughing about how absurd that thing was. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is their keynote speaker. And this person is totally, totally off the mark. What a ridiculous thing to say. And then I was horrified. Every person around us, they were like nudging each other, elbowing each other, like nodding, and they were writing these things down. They were taking pictures of the slides. And for the next hour and a half or 2 hours, this person launched into a tirade about what search terms hit the best for retirement marketing and what do the baby boomers care about, the boomer candy, YouTube content, and all the strategies to get in front of baby boomers more frequently. And I was partially horrified and partially disappointed because our day was shot. We weren't learning anything that day about about retirement planning, first and foremost. And secondly, I'm horrified because every time they flip to a new slide talking about some new strategy to attract attention, attract eyeballs, attract clicks, everyone there acted like this was the greatest presentation they've ever heard. So hundreds of people in the room who I assumed were there to become better financial planners were thrilled at, oh my gosh, this is great marketing. And then afterwards, we're talking to people, and I said, okay, but they talked about all these things, and we're talking to some of the attendees. And I said, but they didn't talk at all about how the strategies, the math behind these things. And they were like, the software does that. We don't need to know these things. We need to attract the eyeballs. We need to attract the people. And they were already using the phraseology that the presenter was using. And they said, we don't need to know the strategies. The software does that stuff.
No. It's not. No. This what we do shouldn't be a commodity. And just go find the person that's the best marketer you like. It shouldn't be that way, Michael. Like, this is what we're telling you. This is what the charity's trying to show you. eMoney, Money Guide Pro, Right Capital, Retirement Analyzer, Risk Life, all this nonsense. Stress testing. This is nonsense. Actual planning. Unfortunately, even still today, a lot of it needs to be manual, iterating, hundreds of iterations, and having different skilled people there, CFPs, CPAs, attorneys, wealth managers, iterating to optimize to produce best outcomes for your situation. It isn't a software just cookie cutting that an intern could put in. That's what they were saying, is basically, we don't need to learn anything. The software does it. That's nonsense. It is so frustrating. And that is, it's so frustrating for us in the charity. And this is why we're so passionate about this charity.
And what's really frustrating is that someday the software, like Kirk said, the software currently, even with AI, currently does not do this. Someday the software will. So we're not naive to this. AI will crack this code. Someday the software will do this. But even when the software can spit out the spreadsheet and the recommendations and everything to do, people have to make sure that it's actually being done on their behalf. It is one thing to see it on a spreadsheet. It's a whole different world for it being implemented in reality behind the scenes.
Well, let's work backwards for a minute, Michael. If their focus is on getting eyeballs, I get it. They're trying to grow their business. I understand everyone wants to grow their business. So it's getting in front of more people, more eyeballs, more marketing so they can make more money, right? Follow. So now when we do get software, and I think, I'm telling you, personally in our private practice, we're about $10 million into trying developing this. It is not easy. Okay. So they'll get it eventually. But again, now the advisors you're meeting with will have to make a decision. How much do I turn the dial up for income or down for income? Right? Because the more I turn that dial up for somebody to have more income, the less money I'm going to make as an advisor. So you're still going to need to ask the right questions, even when they can automate some of this. You're still going to need to be able to, how do I want to say this? QC people's work against other people's work so you can optimize. There's still going to be variables around taxes. Are they really doing what's the most? I could tell you in our private practice, the amount, we only help about 40% of the people who want our help because our process is so comprehensive and time consuming. That's never going to go away. Even when we have automations that are building the plan, someone still has to implement and have all these different systems to communicate to one another on an individual person's plan. And I can tell you, an individual person with $1 million to $10 million should have somewhere between 15 to 30 different accounts, literally, to do an appropriate retirement plan. It is complicated. It's not simple. And that's why the class is 8 hours to teach you what you should be looking for, what the math is, and to make sure you find the right team. So attend our charities, 8-hour courses taught at major universities. Go to refedu.org. That's refedu.org.
And we'll return. You're listening to the Retirement Education Hour. And we're back here on the Retirement Education Hour. Megan Mozak in the studio with financial instructors Kirk Cassidy and Michael Masserant. Sure are glad you're with us on the show today. We've been breaking down some of these retirement marketing traps. In the retirement planning industry, there is a lot of marketing happening. You're probably noticing that if retirement is on your radar or maybe you're newly retired. But not all marketing is created equal. Some of it, well, you don't want to follow that road because it is not paved with good intentions or anything else. It really is just a ploy to separate you from your money. We've learned a lot from Michael and Kirk today, just about being a savvy consumer, trying to make sure your radar is really tuned in to the entities out there that are trying to help you. And of course, the Retirement Education Foundation is firmly, as a 501c3, in your corner trying to help you navigate all of this and trying to help you understand what it takes to plan a successful retirement here in the 21st century. I can tell you it is not easy, and that's why the foundation has courses designed just for you. These are like master's level courses on retirement, and they're held at major colleges and universities right near you. Those include the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University, the University of Missouri, and Columbia College. Go to the website now to get registered, retirementplanningedu.org. Here's that website again. It's retirementplanningedu.org, or you can call 800-240-8981, and we want to see you there. All right, so Kirk and Michael, let's talk quickly here about the next step as I think we've been talking about having this barrage of marketing coming at us, trying to evaluate as consumers, who should we be talking to? What advice should we be taking right now? How do you then bring this all together? How do you look at comprehensive retirement planning and know that that's actually what you're getting?
So look, here's what we're going to do. We have about 5 minutes right now, and we are going to describe what a retirement plan looks like. The challenge as we do this, it's going to be fast and it's going to sound overwhelming. You're not going to understand all the whys. It's going to be complicated. And when it's complicated and it's overwhelming, anxiety sets in, even for that $1 to $20 million family, and they shut down and they do nothing. It's so much easier to buy a product or a basic strategy or a stress test or a tax analysis than it is a truly comprehensive retirement plan. This is why the 8-hour class is so critical. The purpose of this class is to teach you the math that you don't know, to teach you the filter of the marketing sizzle, and then it gives you the courage to move forward with when you find the right team so that you can have 6, 7, 8%, 9% withdrawal rates so you can spend more, retire early, and pay less taxes and have much more freedom. So retirement plan, ready? A retirement plan is going to have lots of accounts, not a few accounts, lots of accounts. Each non-qualified, trust, Roth, IRA, each one of them are going to have between 2 and 4 separately managed portfolios that are going to do different things during different market conditions. If the market's up, I'm going to take income from that portfolio. If the market's down, I'm going to take income from a negatively correlated investment. Go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted.
So it's also tax planning. And people, again, all show we're talking about how the industry uses the phrase tax planning to drive eyeballs, to drive action. But when they say tax planning, what are they talking about? I need to know, what is my projected tax bill every single year the rest of my life, and not just know that tax bill, but what is the net present value of every single tax year's tax bill? Because what we've seen some software systems recently suggest, for example, is what you mentioned earlier: do a whole bunch of Roth converting early, and that drives down their lifetime tax bill. It looks great on paper. But the problem is, if you pay a whole bunch of taxes early in retirement, you're losing the time value of that money forever. And people aren't taking that into consideration.
There is a sweet spot though, Michael. Like literally, that's what we teach in the class. There's a math sweet spot and it's running literally hundreds of iterations. I'll give you an example. If you retire at 65 and by the way, Social Security is also a tax problem. And I retired at 65. I turned Social Security on and I Roth convert 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. I keep iterating to see how that impacts my entire lifetime tax bill. Because the more I Roth convert, the less RMDs I'm going to have to take in the future. Now, do I Roth convert his or hers if you're married, right? It depends on health of each of you, life expectancy, age of each of you. Because when the first spouse dies, the surviving spouse goes from married filing joint to a single tax filer. There is so much nuance. You have a 50% chance of needing long-term care. How are you self-insuring or getting some protection for long-term care? There are so many variables that they're not bought in isolation of one another. They are built comprehensively within a plan to optimize to produce best outcomes. That's why anyone that's building you a plan properly today is spending about 50 hours with the CPA attorney, the wealth manager, and CFPs working, iterating hundreds of scenarios. And that's what the class is going to teach you. And when I say that, Michael, I'm sorry. By the way, my distraction was my wife walked by the studio and started waving her hands at me and trying to talk to me. And I can't do that. I remember in high school, girls would talk to me across the class. I can't even read the lips while I'm trying to talk. It's impossible. Anyhow, so here's the deal. You first have to understand the math. Then you have to understand the words they're going to use to try to convince you they're doing that math. Once you understand the math and you know the right question to ask, then you have the courage to go find the right teams so that you can spend more money in retirement, retire earlier if you wish, not have a major panic attack every time we have a major market event because you're going to have 8 of them throughout your retirement. A comprehensive plan is going to iterate for all of those scenarios, and it's going to look totally overwhelming. And sorry, I got distracted again. My son walked by now. This has been an interesting day. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed our show. We can't encourage you enough to attend one of our 8-hour, what is a master's level course taught at major universities. There are either 2 4-hour classes or 1 full 8-hour class. All we ask is for a $29 donation to charity. If you'd like to register, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
Retirement Education Foundation is a fiscally sponsored program of United Charitable, a registered 501c3 public charity. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Retirement Education Foundation is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Retirement Education Foundation is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Retirement Education Foundation. This radio show is paid for by the Retirement Education Foundation, a charitable program.